On this episode of Whether or Not, we'll be tracking Hurricane Matthew. We'll have the details on any potential impacts to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Drew Narsutis has another edition of Our Great State. And of course, we'll have some nature in the news stories. Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Spagnolo.
And I'm your forecaster, Debicki.
Been a late night for some of the meteorologists this week, tracking Hurricane Matthew, waiting for those model runs. Now it looks like the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast will be dodging a bullet on this one.
Yeah, some of the models were a little skewed at first, but now there's a similar trend. And as we'll be getting off on this hurricane, Florida will be in for a couple of rough days.
Of course, this weekend we do have the homecoming parade on Friday and the football game on Saturday.
Yes, I'll have the forecast for the upcoming homecoming weekend coming up.
All right, now some nature in the news stories. The California wildfire season is well underway, now through the first of its 3 worst months. During the fall, the vegetation is at its driest after the hot and dry summer, and as the first storm systems of the wet winter season move into the area, the Santa Ana winds can howl and lightning can be a source of ignition. So far this year, over 4,200 fires have burned more than 420,000 acres, well above the 3,000 average fires a year, according to CAL FIRE. This weekend, a trough of low pressure will move through the west coast and bringing with it some much-needed rainfall. The Santa Ana winds are expected to come to a standstill, but the Sierra Nevada may see some of its first snowflakes of the season as snow levels drop to as low as 5,500 feet. Out ahead of this storm system into Nevada and Utah, strong winds and a lack of rainfall from the storm system may increase the fire danger across that region.
Eczema is a disease that is characterized by an itching rash that can cover almost all of the skin. The itch can be so unbearable, many patients constantly feel uncomfortable, and doctors do not have the drugs to suppress it. There has never been a safe and effective treatment until now. On Saturday, October 1st, the results of 2 large clinical trials of a new drug offered hope to the estimated 1.6 million adult Americans with an uncontrolled, moderate to severe form of the disease, atopic dermatitis, which is a type of eczema. Most patients who got the active drug instead of the placebo reported that the itching began to lessen within 2 weeks and was gone in a few months. Their skin began to clear, and nearly 40% of participants getting the drug saw all or almost all of their rash disappear. And for some, the relief was almost instantaneous upon starting the trial.
Heavy rainfall from a slow-moving weather system earlier last week led to flooding across parts of the upper Midwest, especially in Iowa. The Cedar River crested at 22 feet last Tuesday in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which was the second highest crest on record. Many homes and businesses downtown were flooded. But closer to home, a pesky upper-level low later in the week brought record rainfall from Detroit, Michigan to central North Carolina and Richmond, Virginia. Roads were washed out across central and southwestern Virginia, and many lost power. Flooding was minimal here in Pennsylvania as the rainfall fell over a couple of days, and it was much needed as the drought conditions continue. Around 20% of the state is still in a moderate drought and 5% in a severe drought, mainly across north-central Pennsylvania.
Joel Myers, a 3-time Penn State graduate, will serve as Grand Marshal for the Pennsylvania State's 2016 Homecoming Parade this weekend. This annual honor is saved for notable alumni such as Myers. He received his Bachelor's of Science, Master's of Science, and doctoral degree in meteorology from Penn State in 1961, 1963, and 1971, respectively, and is best known as the founder and president of the weather service, AccuWeather, founded in 1962, stationed right here in State College, Pennsylvania. Myers also held a seat on Penn State's Board of Trustees from 1981 to 2014, after being re-elected by alumni every 3 years. As he had a strong presence on the board, he was appointed as the Emeritus Trustee in July 2014, and Myers will lead this year's parade and bring in the year's homecoming theme, Old State Inspiring New Beginnings. Thanks for joining me for your exclusive weather or not forecast. We've been dry here in State College for the past couple of days, and our temperatures have been above the average, but we're going to start to see a shift as we go into this homecoming weekend. So as we take a look at Friday, we're going to see Matthew start to hit the coast of Florida early on Friday morning. This is going to bring with it some hurricane-strength winds, some heavier rain showers that can cause destruction in the coastal areas. As we come closer to our central Pennsylvania area, we're going to see some partly cloudy skies, some high pressure, but rain is in store as we go into Saturday. Matthew will start to make its way up the coast into the Georgian and South Carolinian areas, but as we come closer up to our area, we're going to see our own brand of showers. They'll be mostly part of the day, and they'll bring with it some cooler temperatures behind the cold front. This will be off the coast by Sunday morning, and Matthew as well will be starting to come off the coast into the ocean waters, and we'll be left with some partly cloudy skies and some cooler, crisp temperatures to really get out and enjoy. Sunday's mainly the pick of the weekend. Friday should be good for our parade. Looking at our weekend forecast, Friday is mostly sunny skies, as we said, going to be dry for the homecoming parade, and overnight should be clear as well until we get into the late evening hours of Friday. A scatter shower can't be ruled out. Temperatures into the low 50s as the bulk of the rain is moving in on Saturday for our noon game against Maryland. We're going to see temperatures into the mid 60s with those rain showers sticking in mostly part of the day, but we are starting to see a clearing come in Saturday night. Temperatures are going to begin to drop into the upper 40s, starting to feel like fall again with those mostly cloudy conditions. And then Sunday, the pick of the weekend, temperatures into the 60s with some partly sunny skies to really just get out and enjoy. Up next is a feature by Narsutis on Our Great State.
Northeastern Pennsylvania, a land of lush green valleys, commanding mountaintops, and some of the best views in all of Pennsylvania. Despite all of the tall mountain ridges of northeastern Pennsylvania, it has the middlemost average elevation at 959 feet. However, the towns that do sit atop the ridges are among some of the highest elevations in all of Pennsylvania. Temperatures can get pretty chilly in northeastern Pennsylvania. Their average January low tied for first place with northwestern Pennsylvania at 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Funny enough, northeastern Pennsylvania has the second highest precip average at 43 inches, but has the second worst snow average at 34 inches. This week, we will be exploring northeastern Pennsylvania, so let's gear up for another wonderful episode of Our Great State. If we want to go to one of these rainy areas, all we have to do is head over to Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe is often referred to as the Switzerland America due to its picturesque scenery and mountainous location. It was first founded in 1818 and named after the Native American sports legend Jim Thorpe sometime after his death in the mid-1900s. Just to the north of Jim Thorpe, we have Glen Inocchio State Park and its forested waterfalls. In between Wilkes-Barre and Stroudsburg, Jim Thorpe and the falls get an impressive rainfall rate, seeing as the nearby Stroudsburg gets about 51 inches of rain a year. It is also the warmest of the northeastern Pennsylvania locations, with a July average high of 84 degrees. Heading a little more north, we reach Hickory Run State Park. Hickory Run State Park is a 16,000-acre park home to vast forests and many beautiful lakes, including what appears to be a brown lumpy lake. This is their national natural landmark, the Boulder Field. The Boulder Field spans an impressive 2 acres of land and was formed over 20,000 years ago during the most recent glacial period. If we want to cool down a bit, all we have to do is head northwest and visit Wellsboro, where the lowest average low for January can be found at 13 degrees. Wellsboro was first incorporated in 1830 and named after an original settler, Mary Wells. Currently home to nearly 4,000 residents, Wellsboro also gets an impressive snow total at 58 inches a year on average. Wellsboro's elevation of 1,306 feet helps it get all this snow. That's pretty high up there. However, we can go even higher. In fact, we can go to the highest of the 25 locations sampled in Pennsylvania, LaPorte. LaPorte, Pennsylvania sits at a whopping 1,966 feet above sea level, 600 feet higher than State College. Nearby, Land's End State Park can offer many wonderful attractions such as Loyalsock State Canyon and High Knob Overlook. Being at this high of an elevation gives LaPorte the advantage when it comes to winter lows, reporting an average January minimum of 14 degrees. The high elevation and position on its respective mountain range gives it a great location for receiving rain too. LaPorte's average rainfall amounts are actually second best in Pennsylvania, with exactly 50 inches of rain on average a year, only 0.8 inches away from the Pennsylvania record holder, Stroudsburg. Finally, we take a visit to what is dubbed the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, Pine Creek Gorge. Pine Creek Gorge is a 47-mile gorge carved into the Allegheny Plateau. It also sits in the 160-acre Tioga State Park. Unlike Wellsboro or LaPorte, Pine Creek Gorge and the nearby Williamsburg received noticeably warmer temperatures in the summer and winter, with its average January low just above 19 degrees. This causes the area to have significantly lower snow totals than the other northeastern Pennsylvania locations. So there you have it, northeastern Pennsylvania, a rainy area with mountain ridges as far as the eye can see. Be sure to join us next week when we go over northwestern Pennsylvania. Till next time, I'm student meteorologist Drew Narsutis. See you then.
Now let's take a look at the extended forecast, our weekend recap showing some beautiful temperatures for Friday, upper 60s there, some mostly cloudy conditions for our homecoming parade. So go out and get a chance to look at some of those floats. Temperatures dipping off into the low 50s, but Saturday is where the bulk of the rain's coming in for our football game against Maryland. Mostly rainy skies for Saturday day, but temperatures still into the mid 60s and dropping off into the upper 40s as we go overnight into Sunday. The coolest day of the weekend, 60 degrees as the high, and temperatures dropping overnight into the low 40s, but some sun and clouds to just get out and enjoy. Taking a look at our extended forecast, we're seeing mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies and temperatures into the average seasonal zone. We'll see temperatures dipping into the cooler side, staying within the range from the low to mid 60s.
Thank you for the forecast, Allie. Excited to see that we will be dry on Friday, but may have to pack the poncho for the game on Saturday.
Yes, definitely. That rain will hold off Friday, but Saturday, definitely hold on to that umbrella if you're going to the game, and a jacket because cooler temperatures are on their way in.
All right, well, now it's time for the Weather Whiz quiz question. Earlier in the show, we asked you, Hurricane Ivan holds the record in the Atlantic Basin for maintaining Category 4 or 5 status for how many consecutive days? Is it A, 1, B, 3, C, 5, or D, 8? If you chose D, 8 days, then you are correct.
Hurricane Ivan formed on September 2nd, 2004. It trekked through the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico, where it reached a peak intensity of 165 miles per hour. This hurricane made landfall as a Category 3 in Alabama.
Now, Hurricane Matthew, while it did set the record for the longest Category 4 or 5 stretch for the month of October in the Atlantic, it definitely did not get anywhere close to Ivan's record from 2004.
That's right.
So that's all the time we have for this episode of Weather Not. I'm your host, Michael Spagnolo.
And I'm your forecaster, Debicki. Have a great homecoming weekend.